watching the Jennylyn Show, and I'm Jennylyn Gleave, your host. And tonight, I have two beautiful women with me on my set, beautiful for many reasons. And as I introduce them, I'll have them explain to you who they are, what they do, and then you'll get the beauty of which I speak beside that which you see. So, welcome, ladies. We have Pat Hyland and Dee Gibson with us tonight, and they're here to talk about lots of really interesting situations that will benefit all of us. So Dee, thank you for coming to my show.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you, Pat.
No, you're quite welcome.
So Pat, let's start with you. Tell us about who you are and how you've been helping out in our community.
I'm currently the Dean of Student Affairs at Foothill College, and I have known Jose Vargas through my role formerly as the principal of Mountain View High School. So that's how I came to be in this seat at this point.
Great, thank you. And you, Dee?
So I'm the co-chair of the MVLA Community Scholars program, and we're very proud because Jose was one of the very first recipients of a college scholarship from our program in the year 2000 when the program began.
Great. So why don't we start off with Jose and why we're even doing this? Who, I don't know which of you would like to address it.
Well, I'll let Pat tell you a little bit more about Jose.
Okay, Pat, let's start with you.
Well, Jose was kind of one of those exceptional students at the high school. He was into everything. There wasn't anything he wouldn't try. And a lot of times I would see him after class kind of late in the evening, because I would sit and work in my office, and I would go out and there would be Jose in the hallway. And, well, why are you here? Well, I'm still working on this or doing that and that sort of thing. So occasionally I'd take him home and we'd stop at I think I started the Starbucks problem with Jose. But we would stop at Starbucks and I'd take him to he was living with his grandparents. So I came to know him just for his extraordinary involvement at the high school. And then it developed into me knowing quite a bit more about him, which led to what is now a pretty amazing story.
Dee, do you want to take the story from here?
Sure. So I'm a part of a program which was very proud that Jose was the first beneficiary, as I said, of a college scholarship. So we are an organization that was funded initially by a very generous individual who actually did not even know Jose, but gave the school district and set up a fund for students who are first in their family to go to college, who have significant financial need but have the ability to excel and do very well in college. So this is a program that Jose was really one of the very first recipients of. And we have now, obviously the program began in 2000, we're in the year 2013, and we currently have about 80 students that we are funding in college somewhere from freshman through senior year. And each one of our students, in addition to getting financial support, also is matched with a personal mentor, because these students didn't have parents who went to college, so they don't know what it even means to apply to college or how to navigate college. So we have individuals that we've paired with each one of these students to help them through that path.
That's amazing, and your first investment is paying off
Paying off,
huge.
exactly, exactly.
That's amazing and
That's
encouraging.
Right, exactly, right. So, so it's wonderful that Jose has wanted to come and show his documentary at the Mountain View Center for Performing Arts as really one of the very first public viewings of the documentary, and he wants it to benefit the Scholars Program. Because without the college scholarship, he really would not have, it would have been a very different path to have been able to even be able to go to college and complete college without, you know, since he didn't have the mechanism to get financial aid or even be able to get other kind of loans. So he, I think, feels very indebted and very in great gratitude to the program.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Some people would just grab their success and run. So it's amazing and really nice of him that he is looking back to help and encourage others. So Pat, do you want to tell us a little bit about Jose when he was a student in your school, apart from the Starbucks? And also, are you surprised?
No, not surprised at all. He just stood out. You know, the amount of energy he had and the amount of he had this inquisitive nature that you could not, you know, quell in any respect, and nor would you want to. And he was a risk taker, and I think that's probably why he's been so successful. He did, you know, a couple of comings out, if you will, and the first time he and I sat in one of the hallways, and he was really kind of struggling at the moment. He said, well, I just ran out of my, I think it was his history class, I just told everybody I was gay. I said, okay, all right, yeah, so, and so then even later, it was actually a harder coming out was when he decided to tell me, and then we worked with some other people, that he was an undocumented immigrant. And that for him was devastating. You know, he didn't even know until he was 16. And it was as if someone had pulled the rug out from under him. He didn't know that there could possibly be a future. He had no idea how he was going to navigate all of this. By the time either I knew or some of the other people, Rich Fisher really took him under his wing, and Rich was the superintendent at the time. We couldn't even adopt him to give him immigration status. So, you know, it was, what do we do? And I think it's been a really educational journey for us as well, because when he told us, it was, oh, okay, well, we'll make this work. And I think I took for granted the fact that he was so talented and just assumed that everything would be fine. I had no idea. I was so naive at the time, because there are hundreds of undocumented students. Jose was a risk taker, but I had no idea when I was saying, we'll just make this work, how much he was relying on people like me or Rich to be telling him the truth, that it was going to work out. He made it work.
What a courageous kid. I mean, that's phenomenal. I mean, a lot of kids, if they struggle with their identity, their sexual identity, they keep it a secret, and that must be such a burden to have to carry. And then on top of that, to realize that you're considered illegal. I would love to meet him someday.
Oh, you will.
Good, I'm looking forward to that.
Right. So, well, definitely come on the 27th, and you'll have that opportunity to meet him.
Yes, I would. I'm promoting his show. I hope I get to meet him.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Well, and he is a very compelling speaker and a phenomenal writer. And so I bet you would have a lot in common, and it would be fun for you to interview him as well, I'm sure.
I will bring my camera and do that.
Yeah, you should.
So, Dee, how does one qualify for this program? Why did you guys pick Jose rather than one of the other people that were trying to get the scholarship?
So, you know, I think at the time, you know, Jose was, as Pat said, just such an exceptional person that he was kind of the obvious choice. So the person who started the program set aside $200,000 to for students to help them, you know, to give them the mechanism to go, you know, freshman through senior year in college. So he was probably the biggest recipient of scholarship, but there were other students who I'm sure were not as talented nor as compelling as he, but certainly were also of that same demographic of, you know, their families had not gone to college, so they had no idea how to navigate through the process. And currently, you know, we've carried on that whole emphasis of wanting to help students for whom college will be a life-changing experience for them. And if without the support, either both financial as well as through the support of an individual and the whole program behind them, providing them resources and workshops and helping them, now we're working on trying to find summer internships for these students, because they don't have the connections of so many students that would live in Los Altos or even Mountain View, where their parents, you know, they know somebody who can help them in their career.
Right.
So we're now working not only with them as students and getting through college, but also recognizing that the college is kind of the launching point to the rest of their life. And we want to make sure that they get as good a start as we can help them with. So our emphasis still is on supporting students for whom, as I said, college would be a life-changing experience, and in that case they are students whose families didn't go to college. And so every year we have an application process,
Right.
and the number of scholarships that we can give is solely dependent on the amount of money we raise. So unfortunately, you know, there's so many programs and so many grants that you can write for getting the students up through high school, and then beyond that, I think they assume that there is some other magic wand that they can wave to get through college. So we really rely so much on the generosity of people who live in our community who really believe in these students and are, I think, value the education system that the Mountain View Los Altos School District has provided, and really want these students to be able to go the next step. So, so this event that we're doing on the 27th of December is really not only an awareness of our program, but also Jose really wanted it to be a fundraiser so that we would be able to award other students the same opportunities that he was able to receive from the scholarship program.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So Pat, you were the principal of Mountain View High School, and you played a big part in the lives of my daughters. Thank you very much. I think they're great people. I wanted to ask you, as a principal of the school, how do you see children who aren't here legally? How are they adapting to the system, and how does that term illegal immigrant affect children? Because as it is, I think in this time in the world, it's such a struggle for a lot of people with their identities for many different reasons. And then you throw illegal in there, because I was illegal at some point in my life somewhere, and people have used that to threaten me. So how do you see this affecting students since you are in the system?
Well, first, I think one of the important points is Jose has worked so hard to get illegal out of the sentence. So,
Good.
you know, that he has, I think he's even gotten time to agree not to use that in their articles. So now it's an undocumented immigrant. So he's not illegal as a person.
Okay.
So it's a passion of his, and I understand where that comes from. And just the term used at the high school, you try to make sure that you don't ever use that in a sentence attached to a student.
Right.
Because everybody should have an opportunity. But you do see students who are trying not to stand out, so they stay under the radar in any way they can, and some of them underachieve just because the notoriety is a little too much.
I could see
and
that.
their families, you know, encourage them to do well, but don't be exceptional. Or, you know, stay involved just enough to get that diploma, and then we're done. And
How sad.
so, yeah, and there are so many talented students that if you just say, yes, you can do it, and yes, I believe in you, we need all of the talent that we get. And I think a number of people have said to Jose somewhere along the line that you've taken jobs away from, you know, valid citizens and those kinds of things. But in reality, I think what he's done has opened up opportunities for other people. You know, and no matter his status, no one would be, you know, winning the Pulitzer Prize, you know, the way he did it, had it not been for his talent.
Right.
So status, documented or undocumented, his talent is unique to him. And I don't think, there's no way I could do what he does. He's phenomenally talented, so we need to honor and cherish and celebrate and cultivate every person he wants to contribute. And he will tell you time and time again, you know, had there been a line for me to stand in to get my citizenship, I would have gladly stood in it. And he will still gladly stand in it, but the system doesn't work. So he didn't qualify for the DREAM Act. He was too old by a year. The mechanism that got him here, you know, when his mother worked with a coyote essentially to bring him here.
Wow.
She paid someone to bring him here, and once he got here and didn't know that he was undocumented, it sort of the snowball began. And when he was believing that he could be everything that he wanted to be, and his grandfather was trying to tell him, no, I want you to work at the flea market, those two didn't mesh. And so his goal was to be far beyond the flea market. And we could see that, you know, he could do so much more. And so his status, he was so much like so many other students who say, well, if it wasn't for this, then I could be great, or I could do so many other things. And I know so many undocumented students who are just wonderful students, but they live in fear. And getting them, even them and their parents, to come to the high school was a huge challenge. In fact, we had a tamale making party one weekend just so I could get folks who don't normally, I kind of call El Camino the cultural divide, if you will.
Yes.
And families didn't want to venture over because they didn't feel welcome. But boy, I tell you what, we had the best tamale making parties ever. We got them from every country, and so that was so fun and so beautiful. So then parents started to believe that it could happen for their kids as well. And there's not a parent in the world that doesn't want the best thing for their kids.
Of course.
And they all do, but they're afraid for their kids as well. And so sometimes the advice they give them diminishes what they really are capable of.
Does the school have any type of mechanisms in place to protect these kids? Or are you supposed to turn them into the police? And
we talk about that a lot. You know, as educators, our job is to educate. We are not agents of ICE. We are not police.
Okay.
You know, you have a student, a child, someone in front of you, and the job is to help them become the best that they can be.
Right.
You know, we try to get the noise out of their lives and have them focus on, you know, exposing the talents that are there. So, no, it's not our job, and I certainly wouldn't do it.
Good. I'm happy to hear that. And I am happy that your organization, although he's not a documented immigrant, was still able to invest in him, because I'm sure this guy is going to do wonders for the world and for other people.
And I think he already has. He really has. He's done a lot already.
Yes.
Exactly.
And any young person watching him and hearing what you guys are saying will think, oh, I don't have to believe because I'm not documented that I can't have a full life and I can't be my best person, my best
And certainly
self.
things have changed in sort of just in the last couple of years in terms of students now being able to able to work and get driver's licenses and even be able to be eligible for state financial aid. So the possibilities are starting to open up. So I think students who are either about ready to go to college or currently in college and maybe are not documented are feeling that the opportunities there are many more opportunities now than there ever were, and certainly many more than when Jose was, you know, in college and just leaving college. So we hope that this is just an opening of many more doors for all of these students.
I'm sure it is, because I'm not taking anything away from any privileged kids, but a lot of times the less privileged are the ones that really value and make the best of opportunities like these. Because they know what it's like and what it means to have it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it would be wonderful to have a whole panel of community scholars and just listen to those kids. Now, many of them are, you know, doing very well as adults now, but those kids are just so much of a resource, and they're so bright and shiny and so full of promise. They really look for that little gem, and they find some incredible talent. So it would be fun to have a show with just those kids talking.
Well, we're doing a show. You ladies are coming back with those kids.
If they can bring some community scholars, it would be so heartwarming.
Good, because whatever I can do to help this organization,
Right.
I'm
That's
on
great.
board.
Good,
I was,
good.
I was an immigrant,
Yeah.
Right.
so
Yeah.
anything I can do, because
Right.
I know I came here in a marriage,
Mm-hmm.
so it was a lot easier for me. But I still know the growing pains of getting to where you become a citizen,
Right.
and so I'm signing up right now.
Good.
Yay.
So whoever's
great.
watching this show,
That's
that
great.
I'm on board to help you guys
Thank you.
in any way that you need me to help.
Thank you so
Great.
much.
I have my own camera, so we could do stuff outside
We'll
of the
just
studio.
do it at Foothill College,
Yes.
and I'll get you in the
Yes.
theater. We'll
Yes.
do it right
We're
there.
going to
How's
take
that?
you up on that.
No,
Yeah,
because
that
I
would be
will,
great.
because I really want to make
Yeah.
a difference. I have 2 children of my own,
Right.
and fortunately they were privileged, and so I want to help anybody's children that were less, because I would say that where I grew up, it wasn't that I was underprivileged, but I didn't have the opportunities
Right.
that kids have here. And I think the children who really want the help and who really can make a difference and would value the gift don't have it. So if we can, the more educated people we have in the world, the better world we'll
Right.
have.
Oh, and
Right.
you know, we have such a need for the kind of talent that they're cultivating. You know, they're enabling these students to go to college and really blossom into what they can become. And had it
Right.
not been for the individual that started this and got it really
Right.
going, we would never know, you
Right.
know, all that he could do.
Well, God
Right.
bless all
And
of you
so
that are working
it's-
on it.
Well, I
That's
hope
all
we
I
hope
can
we do a
say.
lot more of it. And so
Yeah.
yes, I think a far better interview would be to talk to those kids.
Right.
Well, we
It's
will.
incredible.
We'll do it.
That's
Right.
great.
We
Thank
just
you.
need to
That's
plan it.
great.
So here's a question. He is still undocumented.
Yep.
So what does that mean? He will never become a citizen, or does?
Well,
you
you know,
know?
he could have at some point in time asked for special favor, but that isn't his way. So indeed, I had met Jose, and I went to Zoe Lofgren's office actually at one point in time, and she was willing to see if she could get special dispensation for him. But at the time, he wasn't ready to take that step and wasn't ready to be used as the kind of poster child for undocumented status, and he was trying to make certain that he had credibility. He was kind of trying to earn his credibility before he took that step. So I can't imagine that he couldn't get status when we create some sort of system. But the system isn't in place right now for him to do it, because his papers are such, and he has worked in the United States, technically illegally. So all of those sort of hurdles, if you will, we have to find. And it's not, he is not seeking amnesty. You
No,
know,
he's
that's
not.
that's one of the kinds of phrases, you know, that get thrown out, amnesty for undocumented. That isn't what he wants. He wants a reform of the system. And whatever that reform is, he's willing to pay the price. Now, I've heard of a lot of different suggestions on what that would look like. You must serve in the military, or you must, and I'm not sure that I would subscribe to some of those really prescriptive things, but I know we need reform. So that's his big goal right now, is figuring out what that is.
There's always a challenge in life, and you know, he sounds like the type of person like me, where he's motivated by challenge.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And there's always a solution for the problem. That's how I look at my life and how I've embraced it. So I think that he has not allowed any of these barriers to stop him from becoming, and he is still doing wonderful things. There are other kids that I know a few of, where the parents I've met, and the children are really struggling because the parents haven't got the tools to help the children. And the parents are, like you say, hiding pretty much. And so they're encouraging those children to hide. Do you have anything for people watching this that you can address that?
Oh, absolutely. It kind of depends on what age child we're talking about.
Okay.
But every single campus has that kind of go-to person.
Okay.
Who is got a door wide open that says, come here, and we will hand you a mentor. We'll do whatever we can to help you and sort of unravel the mystery. And there are people that can communicate in the native languages to explain to the families, and there's a lot of outreach in native languages to explain to the families, here's the process, and here's the things that can happen, and here's ways that we can facilitate getting an education for your kids.
Okay.
So all the way through college, And every college even has a website as well to talk about what to do. So it's there. Dream Act is there. That can help most kids. And families, I don't think, should be afraid. And there's a critical mass at this point, so I can't imagine that we would suddenly deport millions of people.
Because not so long ago, and we're running out of time, but not so long ago I heard of a story of a Mexican family that was here, and then the kids were actually born here. And I think the parents were sent back to Mexico and the kid was here, or they were sent there. So that's why I was asking about that. So his status as it is not going to affect his life in any way, the fact that he's not documented.
I couldn't guarantee that, but he is such a high-profile campaigner for reform at this point. I think it might cause a bit of a outcry, if you will.
Right, because I've seen him on a lot of networks talking about this.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But he's pretty much an American. Sounds
Well,
like
and so many
That's
of
what he
these young
knows,
people are, you know, that they were actually maybe born in a different country but have lived here since they were 6 months old. So this really is the only place that they know.
Right.
And this is what they call home. And so it would be, in many cases, very difficult for them to go back to the country where maybe they've only lived a very short period of time. So, so something really needs to change, and you really have to admire him for not sort of making himself, you know, in a special case, because he is going to be, you know, whatever happens to all these other people, he's going to be there with them.
Thank you, ladies. I cannot believe when I'm doing these topics that I love the time flies, and we're almost out of time. But I'm looking forward to meeting him.
Good.
And I believe that we should all be the change we want to see in the world, and you're all phenomenal women. So let's do what we can do, and as you're doing. And I'm jumping on the bandwagon.
Great.
Thank you.
You guys are going to call me, and we're going to do this.
Great.
And if you're someone watching this show, please learn what has been told here tonight. If you're someone who's living here undocumented, know that you don't need to hide. Get your children into school, get them a great education, and learn from Jose. You can be anything you want to be. You just have to do the work. Thank you for watching the Jennylyn Show, and I hope that you will be turning out to watch this great documentary on January the 27th at the Mountain View Center for Performing Arts. You can also go to my website to get more details about this show. Thank you for watching, and thank you to my crew and everyone. Without you, I could not do my show. Thank you.
Very good.